I used to believe that when you welcome someone into your home, into your family, it means something, that it carries weight, that it's not just about politeness or ceremony, it's about trust. About giving someone the kind of place that goes beyond four walls. A place in your life, in your memories, in the little moments that most people take for granted. That's what we gave her. Her name was April. She came into our lives the way most strangers do these days, through a smile, a handshake, and a story that made you want to help. My brother Mark met her at a conference in Dallas. He said she was smart, driven, had just gotten out of a rough marriage. Said she reminded him of mom in the way she always noticed the little things, like making sure your drink never ran out or remembering how you take your coffee. I remember the first time he brought her home for dinner. We were all the ream, my wife, the kids, mom and dad, even Aunt Cheryl, who usually skipped anything that didn't involve bingo or church. April walked in with a dish of homemade lasagna, complimented our backyard garden, and called my daughter's art brilliant. She was smooth, warm, comfortable in a way that made you lower your guard without even realizing it, and over time she just blended in. Not overnight, but gradually. She started coming to birthdays, helping plan Thanksgiving. She'd show up early to help mom cook, stay late to clean up. When dad got sick, she was there with chicken soup and warm blankets. Mark had only been dating her for 6 months by then, but no one questioned it. Not really, because April made herself useful. And when someone helps you through the messy parts of life, you start to see them differently. You start to feel like maybe they belong. So when Mark proposed and she said yes, there wasn't a single raised eyebrow. We were happy for them. I gave a toast at their wedding. Told the story of how Mark used to strike out with girls back in high school and how April was the best thing that ever happened to him. Everyone laughed, April cried. She hugged me afterward and whispered, "Thank you for welcoming me. If only I'd known then what I know now." Because behind all that charm, all those polite smiles and thoughtful gestures, was someone who knew exactly what she was doing. And by the time we realized it, the damage was already done. It started small, like most things do. Little changes, barely noticeable at first. Mark started missing family dinners. April said he was swamped at work, or that he wasn't feeling great. Then came the holidays, first Christmas, then Easter. Suddenly they had other plans, or April's mother needed them. We tried not to take it personally. People grow, things shift. But it was strange, especially for Mark. He used to be the glue in our family, the guy who remembered everyone's birthday, who'd call just to check in. That guy started to fade. One day I stopped by their house to drop off a gift for their anniversary. April answered the door, surprised to see me. She didn't invite me in, just said Mark was running errands. Her voice was nice, but her eyes weren't. There was a distance. I gave her the gift, a framed picture of us fishing as kids, and she smiled like it was a student paper she had to grade. That night, Mark called me. He sounded tired. Said thanks for the gift, but also mentioned, real quiet, don't come by unannounced again. It stresses April out. I laughed at first, thinking he was joking, but he wasn't. That hit me. Something was off. I started hearing things from mom. How April had taken over handling dad's medication. How she had control of Mark's schedule. She even started managing their bank account joint account. No prenup, all in her name. Still, none of us said anything. Mark was an adult. He made his choices. We didn't want to create drama. But then dad passed, and that's when it all came out. The funeral was hard. Not just because we lost him, but because April treated it like a networking event. She was shaking hands, making small talk, complimenting the pastor's tie. I watched her that whole day, and not once did I see her cry. But the real hit came a week later when the will was read. See, Dad had always been clear about his wish to split everything evenly between me, Mark, and Cheryl. The house, the land, the savings. It wasn't much, but it was what he had. Only. That wasn't the will that showed up. Turns out, 3 months before he died, Dad had filed a new one. One that left everything to Mark. No mention of me. None for Cheryl. Just a clean transfer of everything to his primary caregiver. That was April's doing. We knew it. She had been helping him with paperwork. She had access to his lawyer, probably his passwords too. We couldn't prove anything illegal, but it didn't feel right. Not at all. And when we asked Mark about it, he just said, Dad made his choice. April helped him with everything. You weren't around. That burned. I had been there. Maybe not every day, but I called, visited when I could, helped out. So did Cheryl. April just happened to be there more often, because she made sure no one else could be. After that, it got worse. She convinced Mark to sell Dad's house. Said it was too painful to keep. They took the money and moved to Arizona. We didn't get an address, just a postcard that said, "We're settling in sunny days ahead." And then, silence. No calls, no emails, nothing. It was like they vanished. Like Mark had been pulled into a new orbit, and we weren't part of his world anymore. For months, we tried reaching out. Birthdays passed, holidays came and went. Mom cried every time she set an extra plate at the table. And me, I was angry. I felt robbed. Not of money, but of my brother, of the family we were supposed to be. And deep down, I knew who to blame. About a year later, out of nowhere, Mark showed up at my doorstep. No warning, no call ahead. Just him, standing there with a duffel bag and a look I hadn't seen since we were teenagers. Tired. Lost. I didn't ask anything at first. Just let him in, handed him a beer, and we sat on the back porch like we used to. After a while, he started talking. Said things in Arizona hadn't gone the way they planned. That April had changed. That's the word he kept using. Changed. Like she'd gone from sweet to someone else entirely, overnight. But I don't think she changed. I think she finally stopped pretending. Mark told me she cut him off from everyone. Took control of their finances, told him his family didn't care about him, said we blamed him for Dad's will, which, truth be told, part of me did. But I also blamed her for twisting it all. Then he told me the real kicker: she'd drained the account, every last cent. Took the proceeds from Dad's house, their savings, even sold his truck. One day he came home and the house was empty. April was gone. No note, no call, just a bank balance that said zero, and a message from her lawyer 2 weeks later stating that she'd filed for divorce and had already moved to Florida. Just like that. Everything gone. He'd spent the next 6 months crashing on couches, too embarrassed to call home, trying to figure out how to start over. I didn't say, "I told you so." I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But I looked at him and saw someone who already hated himself enough. So I just said, "You're here now. That's what matters." The next day we went to Mom's. She didn't say a word when he walked in, just hugged him, hard, like if she let go, he might vanish again. Cheryl came by that evening too, brought a casserole and didn't bring up the past. We sat around the table, awkward at first, but eventually laughing about dumb stuff from when we were kids. For a moment, it felt like the family we used to be. Mark moved back into town. Got a job at a local mechanic shop, started rebuilding. He went to therapy, tried to make amends. He even helped Mom with her garden again. It wasn't perfect. It never would be. But it was something. A step. One night, months later, he and I were having a drink at the bar, and I finally asked him, "Why didn't you see it? Why did you let her do that to you? To us?" He stared at his glass for a long time. Then he said, "Because I wanted to believe someone loved me that much, and I didn't want to admit she only loved what I could give her." That hit me. Because I realized then that we all want to believe the best in people, especially the ones we let close. But sometimes, those are the ones who take the most. Not just money or things, but time, trust, the kind of peace that takes years to get back. Mark was broken, but not beyond repair. And as angry as I'd been, I didn't want to lose him for good. None of us did. A few months after Mark settled back in, I got a certified letter in the mail from a law office in Florida. I didn't recognize the name, but when I opened it, my stomach twisted. It was from April's lawyer. Apparently, she'd tried to come after Mark for spousal support. Can you believe that? After taking everything, draining his accounts, leaving him with nothing, she had the audacity to say he owed her. That was the moment any last drop of sympathy I had for her evaporated. I called Mark immediately. He already knew. He'd talked to his lawyer. He sounded calm, but I could hear the edge in his voice. "She's not getting a dime," he said. And she didn't. Her claim got thrown out. Lack of evidence, no income disparity, no moral high ground. Mark didn't even have to testify. After that, she disappeared again. We don't know where she is now. Don't care to. Sometimes I wonder if she's out there running the same game on someone else. Finding another family to charm, another man to drain dry. I used to lie awake thinking about it. Thinking about how easily she slid into our lives, how we let her in, how she smiled while taking everything that mattered. But these days I sleep fine. Because the truth is, she's gone. And what she broke, we're rebuilding. Slowly, piece by piece. Mark is closer to us now than he ever was before. He helps Mom every weekend, plays poker with Cheryl's husband, even comes to my son's baseball games. He shows up. That's what matters now. And maybe that's the thing about people like April. They come in fast and loud, shake everything up, make you question what's real. But eventually, when they're gone, what's left, the real stuff, rises back to the surface. and you realize it was there the whole time, just waiting to be seen again. I tell this story not because I want sympathy or revenge or drama. I tell it because maybe someone out there needs to hear it. Maybe someone's dealing with their own version of April right now. Someone who walks like family, talks like love, but is really just an echo of something hollow. And if that's you, trust your gut. Look beyond the smile. Because not everyone who calls themselves family acts like it. And sometimes, letting them go is the only way to hold on to who you really are. As for us, we're still healing, still laughing, still living. We lost a lot, but we got our brother back. And that, in the end, was worth everything she tried to take.